Okay, good day once again. We are into the conclusion of our mathematics on the topic lines and angles. And today we are going to look at how we can now solve problems concerning lines and angle. If we recall that in our last class we were able to introduce lines and angle, so we were able to explain so many lines and angles on them, such as the acute angle, reflex angle, obtuse angles, angles in parallel lines like um, uh, corresponding angles, alternate angles, right angles, and so on and so forth. So today we are going to look at how we can now solve problems relating to these topics. So that means we need to pay more attention this time because we are into solving problems concerning lines and angle. So I would urge my viewers to subscribe to my channels. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel at Frank Catalyst in the class in YouTube or in Facebook. You can equally uh, send us message through WhatsApp in our number on the screen. So what I'm saying is that you need to subscribe. You need to subscribe so you follow up in whatever thing we are doing, in whatever solutions we are providing in any topic we are talking about. So you need to subscribe so you follow us in all the channels. Okay, so I would also urge viewers to pay more attention in what we are doing and then practice them. You try to practice them, try to solve problems in that particular topic so you become perfect on them. So looking at this, we can now see how we can solve problems in the topic, uh, looking at the questions here. So we are basically going to solve it bit by bit from question number 1 to question number 5. So after solving this now, then you can now see that there won't be any problems whatsoever in lines and angle which we cannot solve. Okay, so let's start from question number 1. Looking at question number 1, we were required to find the value of x. So look at this. This is a straight line. And then on a straight line, you can see that angle on a straight line, we have explained that. And we were made to understand that angle on a straight line is equal to 180 degrees. So looking at that, you can see 180 degrees from the diagram, angle on a straight line. And then another angle is equally there, which is 30 degrees. So looking at this is 30 degrees and this is x degrees. So x degrees and 30 degrees are in the angle on a straight line. They are in the angle on a straight line. So, and we were made to understand that that is what 180 degrees. So that means what we are going to do is that we are going to say that 30 degrees plus x degrees is equal to 180 degrees. So, and that is, the reason is angle on a straight line. On a straight line. So let us abbreviate it like this, angle on a straight line. So in solving this type of mathematics, we are at liberty to give the reasons why we are doing what we are doing. So the reason for this is angle on a straight line. So looking at this, we collect like terms. So we have x is equal to 180 minus 30 degrees. Okay, so we take x to the right hand side so we can subtract, and that gives us what? 150 degrees. 150 degrees. So x is 150 degrees. So we can see that is because this is angle on a straight line. Angle on a straight line is 180 degrees. And then the angles we have on that straight line is x and 30 degrees. That was why we were able to add the two and say they are what equal to 180 degrees. And then we subtract accordingly. Then we have our 150 degrees. So that's that. So coming to question number 2, we can see here it is still angle on a straight line. Look at it, angle on a straight line. So an angle on a straight line is equal to what? 180 degrees. So how do we solve that? We have to add up all the angles within that level. Okay, so here we can see we have 20 degrees, we have y degree, and then we have this sign. I hope we still remember the sign here. This reflects what, or represent angle, right angle, which is 90 degrees. So what we are going to do is that we are going to add all the angles on the straight line, and then we have a number 2 as 20 plus y plus 90 degrees is equal to what? 180 degrees. And this is what? Angle on what? A straight line. On a straight line. Okay? So this is our reason for doing so, or solving it. Okay? So we have to add all the numbers in the left hand side and then equate it to 180. So we have 90 plus this is 110 plus y is equal to 180 degrees. So moving this to the right, we have y is equal to 180 degrees minus 110, and that gives 70 degrees. So 70 degrees is actually y. Y is 70 degrees. So solving it is always very straightforward. All we need to do is we have to recall the rules that governs each of the questions. And here we can see it is angle on a straight line. So angle on a straight line, we add up all the angles on straight line, and that gives us what? 180 degrees. And that is exactly what I have done. And then I solve it here by collecting terms with numbers, and then subtracting it from the other, and then we have the result. Coming to question number 3. Question number 3, we can see that it is not just angle on a straight line. There is a straight line, there are angles here, there is angle down, up and down. So we now recall that this is now angle at a point, or angle in a circle, because all the angle makes a circle. So what is angle on a circle? Angle on a circle, we said, is what? 360 degrees. So knowing just that is enough, and then we just put that together, and that gives us the result. But we won't be using that to solve problems here, because most of the things we have here, we don't have the values. So take for instance, when we look at this is x, this is y, this is z, this is v. So there is no way we can add all of them and then solve it together, because they are all unknown. So what we do first is we are going to solve it bit by bit here. How do we solve it bit by bit? So we look at this line from here to here. The angles up there is what? Angle on a straight line. So we first of all pick 120 and x and solve it. So when we then get that, then we can now find the value of what? X. So doing so, then we can now take the value of x into other values and then see how we can solve that. So let's start from here. So starting from here, let us solve the angle on a straight line is here. So we'll start with 120 plus x is equal to 180 degrees. Remember, it is angle on a straight line. On a straight line, okay? Angle on a straight line. So that means that x is equal to 180 minus 120. And that gives us what? 60 degrees. So we now have x as 60 degrees. So if we recall, in our next class, we were able to say that when a straight line crosses another straight line, like we have here, a straight line crossing another straight line, that the angles opposite are what? Equal. So we call that what? Vertically opposite angles. So that means that x and v are actually vertically opposite angles. And we say that vertically opposite angles are what? Equal. So that means that since x is equal to what? 60 degrees, we now have here that x is equal to what? V, which is equal to what? 60 degrees. And the reason is what? Vertically opposite angle. Opposite angle. So that means that V is equal to what? X, and they are what? Vertically opposite angle. Okay, so that is how we can solve that. Okay, now how then do we solve the next, which is Z as well as what? Y. Z as well as Y. Okay, assuming that Y is equal to Z. So if Y is equal to Z, then we can solve that. So assuming that Y is equal to Z, okay, that is a hint here. the hint. Hint is that y is equal to z. Okay, so how then do we solve that? Okay, so looking at that, we can equally see that this is a straight line, this is another straight line. So, and that means that y plus z is equal to 120 degrees. Okay, so because they are what? Vertically opposite angle. So let us start from there. So we have y plus z is equal to 120 degrees. So the reason is vertically opposite angle. Vertically opposite angles. Okay, vertically opposite angle. Yeah, so but we can't add x and y and z. We can't add it because they are two unknown. So but we are given from the hint here that y is equal to z. So that means that we can replace each of the letter with any of them. So since y is equal to z, then I can now replace z with y. So I will now have y plus y is equal to 120 degrees. So, and that gives me 2y is equal to 120 degrees. So dividing both sides by 2, so I have that that y is equal to 60 degrees. So I just divided both sides. Y plus y is 2y is equal to 180. Then dividing both sides by 2 So 2 dividing this is 60 degrees. So y is equal to 60 degrees. So recall that y is equal to z, which is which is equal to what? 60 degrees. Okay, so that means that y is equal to 60 and z is equally 60 degrees. Okay. So, since we are through with question number 3, so let us look at the next question, which is question number 4. Okay, so looking at question number 4. So, in question number 4, we can see that question number 4 is a parallel line with a transversal cutting it. So, we already stated that when we have a parallel line, and then a transversal, a straight line crossing the two parallel lines, we say that what? Corresponding angles are equal and alternate angles are equal. So these are what we already studied before. So looking at this, we can use corresponding angle, we can use vertically opposite angles, we can use alternate angles in solving our problem. We can equally apply angle on a straight line, provided we are sticking to the rules. Okay, so looking at this, we can see number 4. Number 4, that x is vertically opposed to 40 degrees. So that means we are going to write that x is equal to what? 40, because they are vertically opposite. Vertically opposite. Vertically opposite angles. Okay, angles. So we can see that. So it's very simple. Once you understand the rules, once you understand the basics, then every other thing is simple. So okay, so this is x. X is 40 because it is what? Vertically opposite. Then how can we now solve y? So when we look at y, we can solve y in different ways. We can see that x is alternate to y, and we can see that 40 is corresponding to y. So we can use any of these methods to solve for y. So since x is equal to 40 degrees, and we can now say that y is equal to x, which is equal to 40 degrees. So reason being that they are alternate, yeah. So I can use alternate. C is corresponding to y, and it is equally 40 degrees. So whichever method, they are all applied. Then coming to z. So how do we solve z? So looking at the question z, we already recalled that y is 40 degrees. So since y is equal to 40, uh, 40 degrees, since y is equal to 40 degrees. So we can see that this angle y is actually vertically opposite to this angle. So it is vertically opposite to this angle. So that means that here is equally 40 degrees. So if here is 40 degrees, then we can now consider the angle on a straight line here. This is angle on a straight line. So I look at the lower part of it. So which means that 40 plus z will give me 180 degrees. So I can now say that 40 plus z is equal to 180 degrees. So we'll now say angle on a straight line. On a straight line, okay? Angle on a straight line. So, and that is z equal to 180 minus 40. And that gives me 140 degrees. So, z is actually 140 degrees. So, and that is how to solve z. Okay, so very simple. Now, coming to the last one. So, last one is a little bit complex, but by applying the rules, we'll just come out with the right answer. So we are looking for x, y, z. So how do we solve that? Well, first of all, look at these vertical lines. So whenever we see vertical lines and there is a straight line cutting them, we always remember corresponding angles, alternate angles, vertically opposite angles, and so on and so forth. So once we see all these things, then we now have in mind what we are going to be seeing. Because we say whenever we have a a parallel line and a transversal cutting them, then we suspect alternate angle, we suspect corresponding angles, we suspect what? Vertically opposite angles, and so on and so forth. So we can apply them in solving all this. So looking at this, we can see that here, this place is going to be 50 because this is vertically opposite to this. And then 50 is corresponding to y, is corresponding to y. So I will now say from question number 5, that y is equal to what? 50, because they are what? They are corresponding. They are corresponding. They are corresponding angles. Okay, so 50 is corresponding to this. Remember that 50 is vertically opposite to this. Okay, so we've gotten this. So if this um, is 50, y is 50, so that means that here is equally 50 because y is corresponding to this angle actually. Okay, now coming to this side again, we can see that this angle is actually 30. So that means that here is 30, and that means that here is equally 30. Okay, so because they are corresponding angles. So because here is 30, here it must be 30, here must be 30 because they are corresponding angle. Now, since here is 30, that means that z is going to be 40. I mean 30. So we now have that z is equal to 30 degrees because they are vertically opposite. They are vertically opposite angles. Okay, so this is 30, this is z, vertically opposite angle. So how then do we solve for x? Solving for x, we can see that this is now 50, this is 30, and x. So this is angle, a triangle, and sum of angles in a triangle is actually 180 degrees. So what we do is that we now say x plus 50 plus 30 is equal to 180 degrees. So the reason is what? Sum of angles in a triangle. So sum of angles in a triangle is actually 180 degrees. So adding this up, we have x plus 80 is equal to 180 degrees. So that means that x is equal to 180 minus 80, and that gives us 100 degree degrees. Okay, so and that is x. So x is 100 degrees. Okay, so this is how we solve problems here. So it's about sticking to the rules. So once we pay attention to the rules and they apply them, then we won't find anything difficult solving these problems. So these are how we can solve that. We pay attention, we solve more problems. You try it. If there is any problems that you cannot solve, then you'll always remember to test us or to send us message through our WhatsApp group on the screen, and we can I mean reply you instantly. Okay, so and then we always urge you to subscribe to our YouTube channel at Frank Catalyst in class. In our YouTube channel, and also in our Facebook. We are equally in TikTok, in at Frank Catholics in the class.